Hello, so what are you doing? Staying at home and waiting for this lockdown to be over? Well, that is not something in your control. Government is looking into it, and maybe, if not by April 14th or April 30th, maybe sometime next month, by middle of May, it will be over. Well, that's it for lockdown. You can do nothing about it. You can only stay at home and pray that you are safe, your near and dear are safe, and you are doing fine. But till you are there in your home, why don't you use this time in doing something very useful? Because at this time, this vacation which you got by default, courtesy to the propagation of coronavirus. In fact, it's not only you who has got this vacation. The entire world is on vacation. Most of the countries where the coronavirus has come, and in fact, there is hardly any country where coronavirus hasn't gone. So the entire world is on vacation. So how you are going to use this time? I think you can very well use this time in learning something new, learning some new skill, or maybe updating your skill, like they call reskilling, or maybe something which you have learned over the years and which is not very relevant now. Maybe sometime back it was relevant, but it is not now because the technology has moved, the world has moved, and I think the world is not what it used to be 5 years back or 10 years back. So, what do you do? So, you need to update your skill to the requirement of the present times. Well, that's it. But many of you may be wanting to know that if they want to learn something new, I mean, from where to start? Well, I think there are certain basic rules for that. Say, if you happen to be a humanities student, well, done something in arts or something like you have read history, geography, language, or psychology. Well, I think this is a golden time to know something related to science. Science is a very interesting subject, and especially the modern world is controlled and guided by the power of science, be it the telecommunication, like I am communicating with you through YouTube. This is what? This is, I think, scientific achievement. And how this is coming to you? This is coming to you through satellites stationed in the geostationary orbit. So now if you're a humanities student, you don't know anything about this space science, space technology, how a satellite is launched, how it reaches the desired orbit, what is the processes, what are the three-stage rockets which puts a satellite into geostationary orbit or some other orbit. What kind of satellites are there? For example, there are weather satellites which forecast weather for you. Suppose you want to know what is, how will be the weather in Mumbai tomorrow. So you get these weather updates. Even in the news, the news reader tells you about the weather forecast. So how they get this information? Definitely through weather satellites stationed, thousands of weather satellites. Then apart from that, there are spy satellites which take high resolution photographs for spying purpose. So there are different things. So there are different usage of space technology, not only about satellites or about rockets, also about missiles, how missiles are launched, what kind of different kind of missiles are there, like that. And then apart from that, there is another interesting field like nuclear science. Like you may have heard about the nukes or the nuclear bomb or the hydrogen bomb or the neutron bomb, like in 1945 Second World War. You know how the Second World War ended when America, they nuked Japan, and that was a devastating punch to the Japanese forces, and they surrendered. So in that time, America, they used nuclear bomb for the first time at Nagasaki, and there was another place which was bombed. So that is a very interesting subject, like nuclear science, and like how this nuclear fission takes place. What is the difference between nuclear fission and nuclear fusion? Like the isotopes, how like for you see there's nuclear power, they use plutonium. They don't use the plutonium. There are different types of isotopes. So you got to know about the what are the isotopes and how platinum gives that power to create a bomb called, you see, such a devastating nuclear bomb. So these are the things which a humanities students can learn. And apart from that, these are times for the AI. AI is artificial intelligence. So now a lot of things are being done by the AI. You have bots taking care of the customer, you see, service, and the other things like phone banking and phone support. It is done by the bots, which is part of artificial intelligence. Apart from that, there is robotics, how the robotics work, how a robot works on your command. So I think these are very interesting subjects which a humanities student should like to learn. And you have around, like you already spent 19 days, so another 2 days and another fortnight. So suppose you still have 20 days to learn about these things. And well, and that's for humanities student. But suppose if you're a science student and you know about these things, of course you may be aware about these things because this is what you read in your schools and colleges. But then there are softer side, like if you have done post-graduation in MSc, or if you are a BTech or MTech from IIT, and you have been studying only engineering, like mechanical engineering or the computer engineering or electric communication engineering, or have you been a doctor or a management graduate, then you got to know about that might interest you, like the language. Maybe you like to know how Shakespeare expressed himself, what are the different drama plays formed by Shakespeare, and maybe you like to read about the greatest poets, like how they use this power of language, and like that. And maybe another interesting subject is psychology, how psychologist or a psychiatrist works, how they go into and find the hidden secrets lying in the human mind, how how hypnotism takes place, how you see a psychologist explains the dreams, and like different things. So the idea is, if you have been trained in a particular field, well, and you are maybe you are employed in that field. So this is the time you can learn some additional skills. That will definitely may not add to what you know, but it is always better to have the different perspective, and the different perspective you can get only when you also know what people in other field they think, and how other things which you normally very often hear on television or see on the internet or read somewhere, and you are not aware. Maybe science students they can learn a few things about economics Of course, there are some general terms like GDP, inflation, everybody's aware. But then economics is much beyond that. What is deficit financing? How a country makes its budget and how they get their income and how they make the balance between income and expenses, like that. There are different things, very interesting, and likewise like that. So there is no dearth of new skills you want to learn. So only you have to see around yourself that what you have been lacking and how you can learn something new which can put you in fine state. So I will say use this time. 19 days have gone. If you have utilized this period, okay, that's good. But then you have another 17 days ahead of you. So you can learn something new. Maybe if you don't want to learn whatever I just discussed, maybe music is another interesting field. So I won't say everybody can learn singing, because singing is something which you are born with. But nonetheless, you can learn singing. Maybe you cannot become an expert singer, but apart from that, you can also learn how to play a particular instrument. If playing guitar, you find interesting, well, it's time to learn the basic of guitar, or maybe harmonium, or maybe bongo, or mouth organ. So music is a very interesting field. So maybe dancing. Dancing is very interesting. There are different forms of dancing, not only bhangra and dandiya, but there is salsa, there is contemporary dance, there is hip hop, and there are so many of them. So the idea is, when you start thinking, there is no shortages of the new skills which you may learn. So I hope that you will utilize this time well and will learn something new. And that's it for now. Thank you very much. Take good care of yourself and stay safe. Bye for now.